Welcome, everybody. Sorry for the technical delay there. Wow, that was interesting. Welcome to another YouTube Live with Go Small, Live Large. That's me and Terry Minix from Embassy RV. Terry, say hi to the folks while I bring this up.
Happy Friday, everybody. Hello.
Terry, man, a few words, but they're very powerful. Just a delight to have you here. Terry and I are going to talk about some really important topics today. Specifically, Terry is going to do a lot of the talking this time. Let me show you what we're talking about. And this is really top of mind with a lot of folks right now. And that is depreciation of an RV. We want to thank everybody for joining the live. We see a lot of folks in here already. And even though we're a few minutes late, thanks for hanging in there. Thanks for watching the replay too. So this is what we're going to do for the, Is it going to allow me to do that? Yes. The internet gods are with us. Thank you. So we're going to talk real quick about why Embassy RV. If you're kind of new to this and you're shopping for an RV, this is a very different approach to building a Class B RV. Then we're going to get right into what depreciation means for RV owners, talk about resale, and how neither of those really impact a Embassy RV owner. And then Terry's got some big updates, including the June customer event. If you want to ask a question, we would sure appreciate using this format, which is 3 stars, 3 question marks, and then your question, and then we can get to it more quickly. And I just want to, again, thank Terry and the Embassy RV team for sponsoring this YouTube live stream. We've been partners now, Terry, for what, more than 20 minutes?
Yeah, 2019, I think, isn't it?
2019, yes, sir. So we go back a ways, and I just love this team and the way they approach it. If you're interested in contacting Embassy RV to talk about a van, help them put their marketing dollars like this event to use. So just kind of use that pull down there, select my name or Go Small, Live Large. Either one works out. So see a lot of familiar folks in here. This is so great, Terry. We got a big crowd in here already. So let's talk about why Embassy RV, Terry. And I've got a few things pulled up here. And let's have you kind of talk through on the real basics, what makes Embassy so different from everybody else?
Well, we hear so many times when folks come in for their visit that they've spent 5 years searching and they just happened to find us through your videos and they couldn't pull the plug on anybody because they didn't see what they were looking for. So when you go to those screens with all the no wood and no black tank and no LP and no solar and no awning and all those things, you know, what we've learned is what we've created appeals to folks, and that's what makes us who we are. You know, I think in any business, if you're going to go into a successful business, you have to have niches that appeal to an audience that's looking for the product. And I think we filled that void in the industry perfectly with the products that we've created.
And that was one reason I was really attracted to Terry and the Embassy RV team when we met at the Super Show. I kind of caught a mid hamburger, but he had a Cabana out back of a ProMaster van, a patio. Super different. Then he started telling me about it, and that's really what got me excited was the innovations of Embassy RV. Terry, tell us just a little bit about why from the other side, what makes you guys different?
Well, our lithium system is an incredible system, but it is a standard, not an option. So one, I want to say that not all lithium is created equal. So you have to understand lithium and understand what makes them not equal. And then our marine grade materials, you know, I grew up in Fort Lauderdale and I saw what salt air and things do to different materials. And, you know, just through the years and doing and building all the things that we've built in this industry, which is about 1982, I believe, for me. You get to learn, if you're really paying attention, what works and what doesn't. By going to marine materials and aluminum framing and all those composites that we've created and all the different materials we use, we truly set out and accomplish building a vehicle that lasts. And not only does it last, it's very attractive. It looks different from anything else that's out there. And it's stealth, which goes into the HOA, which customers just love the fact that they don't have to rent. And we talked about that earlier, Scott, site off their property to store their RV, which is quite costly. So, these vehicles aren't cheap, but when you start adding up all the things that save you money, it becomes more affordable to step into a vehicle like what we build.
Yeah, I totally concur with all that. And, I talk to so many van owners, Class B RV owners, that they can't park in their driveway because of HOA concerns. They have to rent a spot for $200, $300, $400 a month, and it's off-site. So you're always worried about somebody breaking in, and then you got to drive it up to your house and load it up, and it's so inconvenient. And this is a very HOA friendly rig. Terry, let's talk about this. I think there's something else that really distinguishes Embassy RV. We're going to get right into depreciation. We've got some cool stuff to show you on depreciation. And you have 3 vans, 3 chassis. So left to right is Ram, Sprinter, and then Transit. But you have 3 floor plans. And how are you able to accomplish this when the other guys aren't?
By using the materials that were introduced into our RV, and I think I did that in 2003 when the Sprinter came out, because the engineers at Sprinter said it was created to last 500,000 miles. So I threw away the rule book and started all over. And I knew I wanted to build on all the formats. Granted, the Transit wasn't around then, but the E350 was in different chassis. So I created a cantilevered cabinet system that didn't care where or what chassis we put the cabinet in. We didn't have to recreate it again for each chassis. So there was a lot of thought and effort put into creating cabinetry and components and things that just didn't care where we put it or what we put it in. And it just made it an easy transition for us. And nobody's ever done that before.
Yeah, it's very unique. And again, no wood in Embassy RV. I can't think of another, maybe one. And I've not seen it in person, so I don't know how. No wood in Embassy RV, so great. Terry, I see some questions coming in, but let's get into our thumbnail topic, because a lot of folks are curious about this. And you and I discussed this, and I thought this would be a good time to talk about depreciation. So if we look at what our friends at Wikipedia have to say about it, depreciation is the actual decrease in fair value of an asset, like an RV, such as a value in a factory equipment each year as it is used and wears. And we have this graphic here that also came from Wikipedia. And if you look at the normalized car depreciation over 20 years, at 3 years of ownership, half of the value of that car is gone. But wait, there's more. And that is because what we see from these folks, this was an article, and doing some searching, this was kind of consistent across many articles, this one by Outdoor True. If driving it off the lot, your RV loses 20% of its value just driving it off the lot. Terry, just kind of share, you've been in the business a long time. What does depreciation, what have you seen, and why does this not really impact an Embassy RV customer?
I think that 20% is a light number. A lot of times it's 30% and those kind of numbers. But, one, you're very hard pressed to find a used Embassy RV. It doesn't happen very often. The few times it did happen in this past year, the vehicles sold for what the customer paid us for them, up to, I think the oldest one that was sold was 2 years old, and that customer buys a new one from us every year. It isn't that he didn't like the vehicle, he just buys a new one every year and wants the latest technology from us and from Ford Transit. So it was refreshing for us to see the value of our RVs held even recently when, the market's getting a little weaker. We're still holding our value in a little bit weaker market than we saw a year ago. So it's a testimony to what we're doing. It's a testimony to the products we use. It's a testimony to our host staff and in our philosophy that we care and we will take care of you. And we're trying to build the best vehicles we can possibly build. And it shows up in our resale value.
And that's a great segue. Let's talk about resale value, because we see this often. I've got some numbers to show you that might be kind of shocking, and this was not the case even just 12 months ago, certainly 24 months ago. So again, talking about resale value and how it affects an Embassy customer or owner. So this is RV Trader, probably the most go-to place in the RV market. So I typed in the search field Winnebago Travado Class B. There are 615 Travados I'm just bringing up Travado because it's a unit I'm most familiar with. I'm starting my 5th year of full-time travel in my Travado, and over 600 new and used nationwide. You can see some of the pricing there, 135-ish, which is kind of a interesting price number. So again, just looking
And
at
I think, Scott, I think we said those do not have lithium in them as well.
that is correct. So all
Those
these,
numbers,
at least this first screen here, these do not contain a lithium system. So Volta would go into a Winnebago Travado. So you can add another 20 grand probably for a Volta equipped one of these. But again, 459 Winnebago Travados for sale nationwide, largely through dealers. I guess it'd have to be a dealer being new. That was not the case a while ago. Point being is that there's some units out there for sale. And if we look at the used market, are you ready for this? This is the used. There are 156 Winnebago Travados for sale nationwide. And you can save anywhere from, I don't know, 23 to almost 30 grand by getting a 1 year older one. So there's some real, what's the right word, Terry? Friction in the market on resale value. How does that kind of impact a embassy customer or not?
right. I mean, I would imagine that some of those 1 year old ones here don't have a lot of miles on them either. But still, what I've shared with the customers, because we see the customer that buys, they come back and stop by and we go through everything for them. But, the customer that had hit theirs even for 5 or 6 months and, that somebody got ill in the family, whatever, when they sold it, they couldn't have rented one for as cheap as what they got ours for and then resold it for. And when you think about it that way, if you would have rented an RV for 4 months, it cost you dearly. It was like a free rental to travel and do what you wanted to do for a while and then resell it and off you go. But I thought that was kind of interesting.
100%. Terry, let's take a few questions, and we had some good ones coming in here. So let's take a pause. We want to share with you some softness on the market and how that's not impacting Embassy RV. So let me scroll up here. I thought I saw a couple. If you could help us with the format, thank you, Denim Rue, which is 3 stars, 3 question marks. It helps me find it more readily. So Denim Rue, Terry wants to know, in the color trim package option, what walls will be trimmed out? Will they be outlined in black?
Somebody's done their homework, and the answer is yes. Yeah, I thought the black trim out really accents it well, so we did create it to be that way.
Yeah, that's great. And Thomas has got a point here. So we had a little technical difficulty because it was a time zone issue, and LinkedIn, I changed my Macintosh setting, and so LinkedIn thought I was an hour behind. So that was really challenging getting that unlinked. So thank you for that. Let's see.
Hi, Tom.
Yeah, this is a public chat, which is absolutely true. And we just love everybody. Sherry's in here. Thank you, Sherry, for all you do for Embassy and the owners through your Facebook group. We're going to give you a shout out later in the program. But Sherry, if you want to type in the link or how people can find out and join the Embassy Owner Wannabe group on Facebook, that would be great. Here's Nancy in the house. This is great.
Nancy Frazier, hello too, and Sherry, and yeah.
We got Steve in the house.
Steve.
Here's this character. Do you know this guy?
A little bit, Hey, Rob.
And then this customer's like, oh, geez, there goes the neighborhood.
Oh, goodness. You can
great.
tell everybody loves hanging out from what you're seeing on the screen here.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So, excuse me.
It's a family reunion. You lost your sound, Scott.
I just
On your
coughed.
cough.
Hear
There
that.
you
So, Roads of Light wants to know what exciting and new innovations are coming down the pipeline from Embassy RV that you can share. We're going to talk about the camp out in a minute, but maybe.
Yeah. Man, Rob, I thought you were I thought you were in the group that has all that information. There will be some fun stuff with the camp out, Scott, and all the stuff we're doing. There will be more information on different things at the camp out too. As always, we're working on new and inventive things and the beauty of it, it's not just me doing this. Our staff, our engineers, our partners, everybody at Embassy loves what we're doing and loves trying to outdo what we've already done. And that's a testimony to who we are and where we're going and what we'll always do. And what keeps us strong in a soft market is, we're not sitting by saying, well, we built probably one of the better RVs that's ever been built. We're always saying, okay, how can we outdo ourselves and build it even better? And that's the fun part for us.
And it's true. And one of your customers says your vans are definitely the best. So this is great. Got a couple more, but let's get through the depreciation soft market content. Then we'll take some more questions. So we got a lot of folks rolling in here. Then we want to get into these updates. So Terry, are you ready for talking about soft market a little bit?
Yep.
So, and this has just really come to forefront. It's been hitting the towable market for quite a while. I'd say close to a year. But the vans were kind of largely not in this soft market, meaning overbuilt. Now I'm seeing some changes. So Terry, we came up with some information here to share with the folks. So this is Lippert. They make a lot of components that go into RVs. And if you can see the highlighted areas here, their net sales Q1 year over year are down 96%. And the next one, if you look at they're supplying OEM products to RVers, that is down 62% quarter over quarter a year ago. So there's some real impact that's kind of rippling throughout the industry still, right?
Yeah, we were hearing like numbers of 50% and that kind of thing in the industry. I can tell you when it's like this, the vendors know who is still doing well and building well, because you see a lot more knocking at your door than you did a year ago. Some of them we make them do a soft knock and turn them around and point them the other direction because they wouldn't stop at your door a year ago. So we do pay attention to that too. Our vendors are partners as well, and we expect them to partner with us and partner with our customers and take good care of both us and the customer. And the ones that do not, don't stay Embassy vendors. So we're very careful about those things too. And in a soft market, that speaks volumes because our vendors have a great relationship with us and love the fact that we're still placing good orders and working with them the way that we do.
Yeah, 100%. So I got a couple more points to show on this that really kind of drives home what's happening in the B van space particularly. This was not the case 12 months ago. It wasn't even the case, I'd say 6 months ago, but we are seeing some pretty significant discounts. This comes out of working with an RV dealer in Phoenix just last week, and they've got tons of vans on the lot and are eager to talk to you about vans. So Terry, maybe so I think the list price is kind of the MSRP, right?
My comment I had on that is, okay, you're taking a list price of 140,000 and you're taking 43,000 off. You're still got to be making money or you wouldn't be selling that vehicle. So what does that tell you about the core value just by that card right there? We couldn't do that or we'd lose money. We spend so much in material, we could not do that. So it kind of speaks its own truth. How can you do that and still make money if you're putting a quality vehicle together? I don't understand that.
Yeah, and I think it again talks volumes of your real pricing versus this MSRP game that so many of them play. You start negotiating at 97 basically, right? And then it's just a negotiation point from there, but so strange. This one really shocked me. I got this in my email box a couple weeks ago, wondering how many of you did this as well. Yeah. This is from Storyteller Overland, probably the largest non-big guy adventure van builder in the country. Storyteller makes a great product, largely on the Sprinter and Ford Transit. It's kind of hard there, but by the red arrow, they were giving rebates on the Ford Transit-based Mode LT of $12,000. And that is not insignificant from that brand doing that. And even on the Stealth, this is on the Mode 4x4 particularly, is a $4,400 rebate through their dealer network. So again, to me, it shows softness in the market, right?
Right. Yeah. And I think you said they had 10 units or so sitting on the ground for sale. And again, my point to that is we don't build anything that isn't sold. So we don't have that. It doesn't force us to do something like that, because every vehicle we build is sold and it's got a deposit on it and the customer is eager and waiting to get it, So in a soft market, we would literally just slow down a little bit on our production, but it wouldn't harm us financially because we don't overbuild the vehicles. They're sold when we build them. So, that's one of the problems with the big builders is, to keep their lines going at 26 a day or whatever numbers they're running, they stock a lot of chassis that get out to the dealers and have to wait a little while till they're sold. And in a soft market, our direct sales approach and the customers pick it up, a week after we get it done. It just, we're not doing anything different today we did a year ago. It's the same pace and the same level of skill and quality, and we haven't changed anything.
Which again kind of talks to your program, your product, and your customer set, right? So depreciation, not that big of an impact to the customer. Resale value, pretty good for both sides of the equation, and not a lot of products sitting around kind of aging that they have to discount to move it. It's a very different approach to Embassy RV, and I just want to thank you, Terry, for kind of bringing this forward because I hadn't really thought about it in that context before. And then there's the why Embassy RV, what you don't have and what you do have, and how important that is for the product. So thank you for sharing.
I had a customer tell me last week that picked up that he had two choices. He either stayed sitting in his lazy boy chair and watched his life flash by, or he got up and bought an Embassy RV and started living life again. And I said, well, bless your heart, because that is when you retire, the last thing you want to do is spend your retirement sitting in a chair in your living room with the drapes drawn and watching TV. Get out, explore, and enjoy this wonderful. And that's what the RV experience is all about. And in a B van, that firsthand. You're in a beautiful little town. You told me about 40,000 people in Arizona right now, and you've never been there before, but you're having a great time. And there you go.
Magic of traveling in a van. It's unlike anything else in so many ways. Terry, we got some questions coming in, so let's take a look at that. We've got Sherry here. We know Sherry, no one loves Sherry. Question: does the service dealer, Frank, down in Florida, have his team ready to handle some Embassy service items yet?
Actually, Frank's coming up for the event in June. And we're going to do some training and things with him to dial in the things that he's going to be able to do. He is not going to be able to do the air conditioning if anyone needs air conditioning work and stuff. So we are training Frank during his time up here in Indiana and getting him more accustomed to the little tightenings of the cables and all the little things that maybe some customers can't do that you have to do periodically with the big battery systems. So we're working on that, Sherry. He is going to be brought up to speed and have, just installations like, helping somebody with the new window covers if they want him to show him how to do it, maybe upgrading something. We get so many things that we change and do differently than we've done a year or two ago, and being able to do some upgrades and things and not have to drive back here to do it. That'll be a big thing for him.
Yeah, and this is one of the great things about Embassy is they keep iterating, and you don't have to wait till a model and a year and a half later to show up. Terry, Roads of Life has got a question here. We talked about this a little bit. You might be having some good news here. So Roads of Life, any chance Terry will be coming to the Vantopia, Florida? It's a camp out event, van life event in February 2024. Terry, what are your thoughts on that at this point?
We are planning, and we'll announce some more stuff about what we're going to do. Sherry's helping me with the website a little bit, and we're going to have some events on our website that she'll be posting. So I did enjoy that event. I would like to bring Justin and Brandon down to it next year and let them see all the different things you get to see on the DIY market. We're actually creating some amazing things that will help the DIY. I was a judge down there, and I was a little scared what I was going to see, and I will say there was only a couple scary ones. There was some pretty interesting stuff that I got to see down there, so I take that to heart. And I did see that most of them could use some help with the inverters and the lithium batteries and the wiring, and just how to maybe make that much easier, because you could tell it probably took them a while to try to put that together, and we're going to try to do some things to help that market be a little safer and a little easier to jump into the game when they can't afford one of our vehicles. It may be out of their price range.
Yeah, and to follow up on that, Roads of Life, I would say that I've been in very close contact with the Van Life Outfitters, which are producing that event. They've renamed it from Florida Van Life Gathering to Vantopia, Florida. They're going to put us all together again. So it's going to be, we're going to have 3, maybe even 4 streets, and they're going to put the embassy folks right next to me. Last year it was like 4 months ago, there was kind of a group in between us. This year they're going to put us all together. And if you want to get your tickets to that, I think the regular tickets go on sale on the 15th, so next week. But if you use the Go Small, Live Large, they're going to give you a discount. Make sure we're all in the same tribe together. And if you were at this last year, you know what a hoot it was. I'm so glad Terry's going to participate again this year. It's so great. Terry, there's a question here from and Bob Scott. He's one of the folks that helps run the Embassy Owner Wannabe Facebook group. So hey, Bob. Clean shaven Bob, didn't even recognize him. Where is it? Right here? Ed Vargas got a question, Terry. Did you figure out the clasps for the Cabana? Maybe explain what the Cabana is and how that adds to the van experience. Then his question on the clasp.
Hi Ed, I guess the class for the Cabana. I'm not sure what you're saying there on that regard. Sorry about that. I haven't referred to anything as a class before, so you may have to enlighten me.
Maybe just tell us, Terry, what is the Cabana? That's kind of unusual for a...
The Cabana is our patio and porch that folds up and stows away inside the back of the RV. So when you open up the rear doors, you drop the patio and then you drop the tent, and it expands out and adds about 6 foot of living space to a van that drives anywhere and goes anywhere, and makes it closer to a Class C length of vehicle, and gives you an expanded, beautiful place to sit, and bad weather, good weather, and have screened openings and a panoramic view. It'll hold a full-size mattress, and kids can sleep in it, the grandkids and stuff. So, in our Dolphin S, we can seatbelt 6 with the 2 up front and our 4 in the back if you choose that. And with the Cabana, you can sleep that many. So that's kind of unique in the industry as well, that you could travel with 6 and sleep 6 in a B van.
It's pretty unusual. And it could be either a deck, right, Terry? So it's just a platform,
yeah,
or you put the entire tent over it, right?
Yeah.
And
we have some folks once in a while that don't order the tent and only order the deck. It's just a place for them to sit up off the ground and sit back and relax. And so you can do either way. You don't have to have the canopy part of the Cabana. You can do the patio part only. And so we give you those choices.
And it's just the coolest thing, seeing that on a van. I've never seen it been done before. You see that in the big fifth wheels, right? They got the deck that comes out, and it's kind of cool.
You know why you haven't seen that before, Scott?
Why is that?
Because you won't go ice fishing with me. Because if you ice fish with me, it's 2 cabanas on my ATV that turns into an ice house.
Well, the good news is spring is here, summer's coming, and winter is around the corner. So that's so funny. Let's see. Born's got a kind of a question comment. Terry May, thanks for the gift of your time during my tour in March. So that's how you roll, right?
Yeah, we love what we do. We love showing, we're not high pressure. We're not going to call you up and say, my gosh, you didn't give me a deposit yesterday. It's your time, it's your journey, it's your travel. We're here when you need us. We love showing off what we do. We're not going to show it all on our website. When you come visit us, we'll show you the depth of what we do, and the depth matters. Every inch of what we do behind the walls, the subfloor, the way it's bonded to the vehicle. When you get to see it firsthand, you get to touch the tubing that we make the cabinets out of, and the aluminum structures that we make the overhead cabinets out of. It's pretty remarkable in nature. and never I've never seen it in anything that way before. You know, a unibody constructed vehicle, when you hit a chuck hole, I call it, in the pavement, flexes. It's designed to flex. I'm not too sure if wood flexes, Scott. You may have to fill me in on that, but I know our cabinets do.
Mine creak. Mine creaks like an old Victorian house, largely because she got rear-ended a few weeks back. Another story altogether, but yeah, it's you guys do things very differently, and I think that's why people are really curious. And this is a great segue question from Deborah Terry. Deborah wants to know, hi, thanks for this info. Are the units for season rigs? Please take a minute, tell us about this. This is very different.
Well, Deborah, we have a wonderful customer named Guy Amorosano that did a YouTube video that's out that shows our Class B RV with him and his wonderful wife, and they're at negative 14 degrees below zero, working just fine. So we didn't want to boast a temperature. We thought it would be best when customers experience this to boast it on their behalf. And if you look up what a four-season RV is in the industry, you're not going to find anyone boasting a temperature. I think it's used quite loosely in the industry. We have confirmation from customers of 10 below zero, 4 below zero, 14 below zero. We've had customers from Hawaii out in our parking lot at 10 degrees above zero with 6 inches of snow dropping that night on them. And, you know, it wasn't what they looked forward to, I can tell you, from Hawaii, but they had a great time, and they actually turned their heat down inside the vehicle just to tell you how efficient it is.
It's a vastly different experience. The way you folks handle water waste and insulation, it's vastly different.
It's not outside. That makes it really different.
100%. Sherry's got a comment here. Then we're going to get into some updates, Terry, here in just a second. So Sherry wants to kind of make this point again. Embassy's price gives you the best deal right away. No middleman and a true price. I think that's the kind of punchline. No middleman. And it's a real price. It's not this game of cat and mouse. Some of the other folks.
You know, we have sold to dealers before. I told you a story a little earlier, Scott, where our Canada dealer sold a vehicle recently to a customer, and the customer called me and they had an issue with the master volt system beeping and yelling at them saying, I've got an issue. So Brandon and I went in, we took a look at it, couldn't find any setting that was wrong. So I had master volt remote in, which is just an incredible service that comes with our unique approach to these RVs. And the minute master volt remoted in, they said, you've got a solar panel. And I didn't know he had a solar panel because I don't like solar panels. So he goes, I'm seeing 14 volts, and you shouldn't have 14 volts right now. You're not plugged in and the engine's not running. And Mastervolt identified a solar panel was installed in the vehicle when it left here, and they installed it improperly and put its connection in the wrong part of the system. And it freaked out the shunt that tells you how much percentage of charge you have. And it just kept yelling at him saying, I've got a problem. Something's wrong here. And then that dealer actually told the customer, we aren't really good at electrical. Why don't you go to this dealer and have them check it for you? And you know, that's kind of what happens sometimes in this industry. So not having a middleman and selling direct, you won't get those kind of answers from Embassy. You know, we have great vendors, like I said, and great team members, and we're going to get to the bottom of it, and we're going to get you taken care of even when we didn't do it. Then they had the nerve to send me a bill for it and say, oh, well, you know, we had to fix this wiring. Here's a bill. And I said, I have to remind you, you did it, not Embassy. No. So we're as shocked as you guys are sometimes. And, you know, we'll never do that to a customer. We'll take care of our customers. And you know, it may not be today, but it's not going to be 2 or 3 months either. We're going to do it as fast as we can. Justin schedules the service in, and we just promised everybody, you know, we will take it on our chin, and we will help you, and we will never leave you without a beautiful RV that you can travel with.
That is well said. And it is a family. just like Sherry's pointing out with denim. So great. Terry, let's talk about some updates. I think folks are really excited to get some of these into their ears and eyes. So let's talk about chassis. You're always a good beat on what the true state of chassis is. Maybe just take a few minutes.
We are happy to say that Ford has issued us all of our RV chassis VIN numbers that we ordered last May 29th. So we got, every week we get a report from Ford on a spreadsheet saying if it's pending, if it's picked up, and what we're always looking for is a VIN number from Ford for that order that we placed on the chassis. And we did get all of our RV third quarter, it's called, VIN numbers for the RV chassis. So we're very, very pleased. 2 years in a row, we got from Ford everything we've ordered. So that's not done a lot. You know, the big dealers that we all have to order through as a big manufacturer ordering from Ford told me earlier this year that we're one of the few companies last year that got all of their chassis, and we can now say that again for 2023.
Which is pretty awesome. And I think you alluded, you've got a few ProMasters this go around.
I got 5. I'm tickled. Last year we didn't get any. The year before we didn't get any. I think I got 1. I backtracked. I think we got 1 last year. So right now we have 5 VIN numbers out of 20 ProMasters we've ordered. And, you know, that's better than 1. So I'll take that. And we have some folks that want them. So that worked out real well.
Yeah, no kidding. That's so great. Terry, let's talk about, maybe just give the folks a little update on production in general. We've talked about slowness in the market, some of the manufacturers of components. How's your production holding up and the team in general?
We, the beauty is when you order all your chassis for year May 29th for the following year, you kind of know what chassis you have, you know what your build schedule is. So we have I guess we run a certain number a month of chassis from now till next February and next March. And actually we'll get the next chassis the end of next March for 2024. That's when they roll each year. So we know what our pace is. We know through January of next year, we have orders for that whole time. So it's a very steady pace. It was very steady all year this year. We kept, a good steady pace that we can build amazing quality at. And that's what we're doing through this year. We may pick it up a little bit in 2024. But the beauty is we don't have to. If the market is soft, we can stay at the same pace and guarantee that we're going to build you the best vehicle that you'll see in the industry.
So amazing. We're going to talk about the Cape Cod Embassy's B Plus that's coming out and the camp out, which is in June. Here in just a moment, we've got some good questions come in. We do like to honor those that are doing the live questions. So Terry, this comes from Travel, Dreamer 46. Can I still be hopeful for the advent of an accessible model in 2024 planning phase?
Is that for the B Plus? Is that what they're asking?
I'm not sure. So maybe Travel.
It must be. The B Plus is moving along very nicely. Every effort we have in design and engineering is going into the B Plus right now. So absolutely, at the camp out, we're going to have a little more information for it. We're working with all kinds of vendors. We have, we've hired big companies to help with certain parts of the design, and they're working diligently at it. So the B Plus is going to be an incredible vehicle that Embassy will roll out when the time is right. But the group that comes to our camp out can come Monday and Tuesday after the camp out and visit the plant, and we will have the B Plus here and show where we're at with it to anyone that wants to come in and see it.
That's awesome. And I'm going to be there, so I'm excited. Actually, I won't be there. Anyway, let's see. There's a couple questions here. Alan's got a question here, Terry. Can you show or describe, we'll have to describe it, the wardrobe and storage options? Again, your approach here is very different than other folks. Maybe just give us a high-level overview. And we'll talk about the
I'm
camp.
going to take it this is for the B van. So,
Not sure. Doesn't say.
Alan, can you verify with your comment there if you're asking for the B van or the B plus on that storage for the wardrobe?
And boy, we got a lot of questions.
So both of them are going to be unique. You know, I don't want to talk too much on the B plus yet, but the B van wardrobe and linen closet and everything we have the most storage of any B van in the industry. I know we do. And I think it was the West that proved that when they brought in tons of stuff to put in the van and they fit it all in there. I even was a skeptic on that one and says, I don't think that's going to happen. You're going to probably have to run a little storage thing on the trailer hitch. And by golly, they got it all in. So they hold the record right now of the most stuff put in an embassy van, just so you know. and storage is not our issue by any means. And we don't have, I don't know any issues we do have, but I know storage isn't an issue at all.
100%. Terry, Ed Vargas got a question here. Should have said snaps, not clasps, so the cabana can be removed along with the style supports.
I see. He wants to unsnap the cabana tent sometimes when he wants to take it off. Right now it's screwed to the walls in there because it's got a lot of pressure on it when it comes out from just the sheer weight of it with the aluminum poles, and then it velcros underneath the patio. So that's to make it a quick release effect. We are working, Ed, right now on some pretty incredible things with one of our vendors that has the coolest quick release gadget. So just hang in there. You know, like I said, we're always working on things, and there's some pretty neat things that have come across our on new designs of things in the last couple of weeks that are very promising on that regard. So hang in there, and we should be able to, make one of these things happen. And I'm real pleased with this little gadget. So
that's great. Got a few more questions here. Then we're going to talk about the camp out, and we might go a few minutes over, Terry, if that's okay, because we started a few minutes late. That was my fault. If you're cool with that. So Nancy wants to know, Terry, can one person open the cabana easily? So to deploy the decking and the cabana tent?
It's not heavy, but it's awkward. It only weighs, the cabana is a composite that we make for the patio. And to your answer is yes, I can do it very easily by myself. But my late partner in his mid 70s could not do it. So it isn't for everyone. We bought another thing that will help with the weight of it to be more zero gravity. But because we're putting so much effort in the B plus right now, that's not going to happen until we get the B plus rocking and rolling for everybody, because we have so many people that's been waiting a while to get their B plus. We want to make sure that we get them in it. Then we'll work on the cabana zero gravity effect.
That's a great point. A lot of things are easier with two people, including making YouTube videos. Let's see. Roads of Life. Apparently, this is going to be a bourbon challenge. Scott really needs to go ice fishing. When will Terry make him do that? But then he follows it up with everybody give a thumb up for the session today with Terry joining us on a Friday.
The good Lord helped Scott out this year and made it where there was only 3 inches of ice. Even I couldn't go ice fishing. So he must have been doing some praying, and God was listening, because we couldn't go ice fishing this year. So hopefully next year.
Yeah, that would be so great. James got an interesting question here. The owners are pretty private. So James wants to know, who is the CEO if this guy is the vice president, Terry Minix?
I teamed up with a gentleman that used to own Starcraft Bus, and he's owned a lot of companies, owned RV companies. He started Big Trailer Company. He's done things for GM. So he's a pillar in this industry. So I'm not going to throw his name out right now, but he's an incredible person that I asked him one day, why do you do these things for me and with me? And he said, I like to take people creative and make them successful. And that's what I get out of this. So I have one of the best partners you could ever team up with that, loves the business and loves the business challenge and knows very, very well how to move everything forward in a professional way. And I'm blessed to be sitting here talking to all of you and have wonderful partners. We have quite a few partners actually, and all of them contribute very nicely to this program.
It's true, and just to see you all grow so much since we started working together, and in your current facility is so beautiful. Just having a backstop of really great partners helps a lot of that come to life more quickly. So I'm just, again, proud to be part of this family, even though I don't drive an Embassy RV, which kind of leads us to the next question. This is from Mesa Mike. Terry, he's a tried and true Travado G floor plan. That's a floor plan I have. So I need a G floor plan to be convinced to trade in my Travado GL for an Embassy RV. Any thoughts on that type of floor plan? Is it coming?
Scott knows.
But what's the story on that?
Scott knows I drew it up. I evaluated it over a weekend, and I just couldn't. It isn't our intent to copy anybody. Winnebago, Airstream. I and all of us here at Embassy did not go into the B van market like a lot of companies do and buy somebody else's vehicle and duplicate it. It was not our intent. It'll never be on our intent. We've never done that and will not do it. So there's things about that just isn't Embassy, and it isn't our intention, our design to create that model. I guess that's the best way I can put it. I have to have a lot of storage. I have to have an open concept. They're just things that are in our DNA. And if somebody wants the G, there's a big market out there. Winnebago has their market, and Scott and I have talked about that. I know they're not doing what we do on the backside, but it's their model, not ours.
Fair enough. Here's Mark. Good to see you, Mark. 28,000 is a very satisfied travel in his Embassy RV. Thank you, Terry, Mark says. He's a great guy.
If you want an amazing belt, you see it there on the left. Mark, in his retirement, is building custom belts, and he gave me one with ESV on it, and they're incredible. He does some really, really unique belts. But again, Mark, I don't think you have time to go fishing if you're building all those belts. You might want to rethink that.
So funny. So here's a big shout out. Since this is not What's Up Wednesday, we'll just give a little applause. A super sticker from Roads of Life, a little donation to the channel here. Apparently comes from the dog. Sherry just sent you money for ice fishing. So there we go. Maybe a GoFundMe ice fishing trip to Embassy with Terry. That's funny. Thank you.
The ice house happens to have a 32-inch TV in it, just like the B van RV we built. So you get to watch the fish bite on a very large, big screen TV, which kind of changes the ice fishing event completely. So,
you all crack me up. No excuses, Scott. I probably got $5 to get my ice fishing planner going. So that's pretty funny. So Travel Dreamer Terry, got a little clarification. So talk about an accessible B van, so not the Cape Cod.
It is in our talks. Again, we're working on the B plus. It may be, something we're able to do in the B plus before the B, but I don't want to shoot that out yet. I know we have a lot of folks that talk to me that, need some assistance getting in and out of the vehicles, and we are talking about those things. So, once we get it to where it's through our engineering and we have all signed off on it, we will let Scott make announcements, and we'll let y'all know that, we've got a new program that will help with assistance.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And speaking of plans, let's, Terry, kind of run through the Embassy RV event, which is just a few weeks away. You're having a camp out near Elkhart on June 2, 3, 4. The day guest is on June 3. It's at Ebby Pines, and thank you, Sherry, for putting this together. This is on your website now, Terry. So maybe just kind of walk the folks through what the camp out is, how many spaces you have available. It's kind of for Embassy customers only. This is not a Go Small Live Large camp out. It's for Embassy customers and wannabes on the day of thing, but kind of walk us through the camping program.
Yeah, we are, anyone that wants to see the embassy products is welcome to the event. You just have to sign up through Wanda as a day guest, and then she'll give you all the information. So if you email into Wanda at embassyRV.com, she'll get you the information and get you signed up as a day guest. If you have a B van and you want to come see the embassy family, we have a few spots available. And you can camp with us and see the other RVs and talk to the owners, and it'll help you maybe see why these vehicles are so special. And we encourage that as well.
And this is the 4th year, is that right, Terry?
I believe so. Yeah, we actually outgrew. We were at Willow Shores up in Union, Michigan, the first 3 years, and they were just super campground and took great care of us. But last year we stacked 2 vehicles, I think, up at every one of the sites. But that's the beauty of Embassy too. We're able to. Our power use is so small. Even in a struggled electrical environment, we still do quite well. We have bad power in one of the receps I teach customers when they come here, and I can crank the power down to 6 amps on the cord and still put almost 40 amps into the battery, plus running all the lights and refrigerators and everything in the coach. And I don't think there's too many RVs that would function and still put charge into the vehicle on 6 amps limit to the cord. So that's a testimony to what we do as well.
Yeah, it's true. So again, if you're curious about this, go to Embassy's website. It's got all the details here. Again, it kind of looks like this. There's 2 types of event participants. There's the campers, and they did mention, Terry, there's a few sites left, which is great. I'm going to be in one of those, which is pretty cool. And then the day of, there's a lot of events planned. I'm doing an urban camping class. You guys have a band. There's a whole, you got some vendors coming, right, Terry?
Yes, yeah, we have some nice guests coming to set up tables at the pavilion and help teach and show, their products, as well as we do have a big Ford person coming that's been with Ford forever, coming to talk about, some of the things they've seen in the industry and share some of that with everybody. So I think that'll be very interesting.
So let's talk about, then we got a few more questions and we're going to try to wrap this up in about 8 minutes. So Terry, we talked about this before we went live. Let's just share this with the folks because we always get asked about this. Where can I learn more? There's a couple good places. One is your website has a lot of different, a lot of good information. My website has some, but Embassy RVs kind of the .com is kind of the place to go. If someone was going to drive one of these rigs, seeing them at the camp out is a great place to go. If somebody wants to drive one, how does that work out?
I would encourage not to ask a customer to drive their vehicle, and not to ask me to drive my vehicle, and not to ask Embassy to let you drive somebody else's vehicle on this property that is a deposit on it. It's their vehicle. So that's not going to happen. And it's not fair to ask a customer to drive their vehicle. You can rent a vehicle. You can go, Enterprise has Ford Transits. They probably have ProMasters. You can go to a Dodge dealer, a Mercedes dealer, or a Ford dealer and test drive a vehicle at a dealer. That's the best way to do it. But please don't expect somebody, that invested in this RV to let you drive their vehicle to see how it drives. That I just want to be clear on that. I think that would be a little unfair to ask somebody.
And a lot of times, it's a great point, Terry. A lot of times what they're wanting to drive is the actual chassis. And that was seat position, view of the window position. Is it powerful enough? So to Terry's point, even going to a Ram dealer and test driving a cargo van is going to give you all of that you need to know to pick which chassis you prefer. And you can kind of see, length and the all that kind of business. So it's a really great point. And then just again, coming to the camp out, I think is a great way to see one in person, walk through it, get the story from the customer.
Absolutely.
And
everyone's been so gracious to show their vehicles, and I think that's incredible. they may even take you for a ride in their vehicle. They're not going to let you sit behind the driver's seat and hit the gas pedal, but there's other ways to do that, like I said. So I have some folks that rent an RV once in a while just to drive that style of vehicle. I will say that the ProMaster is going through quite a bit of a renovation for 2023. So even if you drive an older ProMaster, it's not going to drive like the new ProMaster. They've done a lot with that now with the Stellantis Corporation. I believe I think it's got a 9-speed transmission now or something like that.
Yeah.
And so it's going to drive quite differently now than it did last year even. So, understand that too on the ProMaster.
Great point. And this is another great resource if you're not familiar with this. Sherry, if you could put a link in, although it's kind of a lengthy one. This is the Embassy Owner Wannabe Facebook group. This is not run by Embassy RV. It's run by 4 really passionate owners, including Sherry. And this is a great place to talk with owners, pose questions. I think you all have crossed 1,000 members now, which is amazing. You have a Zoom call once a month, which just held this last week. So again, if you want to hear from the owners directly, this is a great place to go, because this is not sponsored by Embassy. It's not sponsored by me. It's just y'all getting together. And this is just a great place. We do show up once in a while though, Terry, right? For
yeah. One of the great things, Scott, with this is everyone's helping everybody. So, I may be busy, like I told you last night, mowing the lawn or something. And when I do that, my hearing aids don't hear a phone. But other folks will step in on the Facebook group and answer that question for you when you have a question. So it's a great, great family atmosphere of people that are passionate about this V-van RV travel. And I just can't say enough about how wonderful it's been and how much everybody, the camaraderie and the help, and it's just been a wonderful thing for us here at Embassy to sit and see and watch and be a part of. So our hats are off to all of you, because it's something I've always dreamed of. I thought Airstream had a wonderful family atmosphere and a great following, and we're seeing that now through our program, and it's one of the things that I really get excited about, that you get to see that.
Yeah, it's so true. And you get to see it in real time on some of these get-togethers. It's just so amazing. So again, a good place to go for a resource on the event coming up in a few weeks in June near Elkhart is the Embassy website, embassyRV.com. There's an events tab now. Thank you, Sherry, again. And if you want to talk more and kind of get into it, and if you learned about Embassy from me, Scott, or Go Small Live Large, again, that helps them put their marketing dollars together. And thanks again, Terry, for sponsoring today's video. I appreciate that.
Sure.
And one more thing here. We got a couple more questions. So let's kind of round this out in just a couple more minutes, Terry, and then we'll say goodbye. It's Friday afternoon, everybody. So you're all talking amongst yourselves, which I love. This is the whole point of what Terry just talked about. So more vans suggesting a sport floor plan to Mesa Mike. This is a fun one. Donna wants to know. This is a high priority on your list, I'm sure. It's Embassy gear available.
We are working on that. The camp out will be somewhat of the start of that. We're working on gear. We're working on shirts. I wasn't real pleased when we had a company do the chairs for us. I wasn't pleased with the quality of that chair. So we'll be very careful about that in the future. But, we want everything, even our gear, to be the quality that we build. And so those are things we're working on, Wanda and I and the team. So
Esper's got a good idea. Some Embassy logo on Titleist Pro 6 golf balls. I guess those are pretty good golf balls. I don't know.
I love to golf, but the only time I get a golf is one of our vendors has a crazy golf outing in July every year, and they have toilets in the fairway. The closest to the toilet wins a prize, and all kinds of crazy things. So I always make that event, and it's just a lot of fun. So, we'll see. I know my partner is wonderful golfer and loves to golf and stuff. So I'm sure he'd be on that program.
Yeah, right. I suggested T-shirts that say like a Wanda kind of stylized picture of Wanda on it. It says, "I am Terry's boss." And you get into a camp out, Terry's being bossed around by Wanda. I'm being bossed around by Wanda, which is pretty funny.
Don't give her any ideas, Scott.
I know. We love Wanda. It's so great. Well,
We cherish Wanda. Wanda's just been a wonderful addition to the embassy program. So we can't say enough about her either.
She's amazing. Well, Terry, thank you for taking time out of your day to share with folks what makes embassy different, and particularly when talking about depreciation and resale value and the soft market, and how now's still a great time to buy a van, particularly an embassy RV, and it's kind of getting interesting out there in the wild west of the B van space. That's kind of catching up with them. If people want to place an order today, you put a deposit down, Terry. What's the wait time? It's not that long.
We're actually getting more deposits now than we were, 6 months ago. So that's even picking up. So absolutely, we probably only have a very small number of vehicles left for 2023 that you can put a deposit on. And then they have not given us the ordering information yet for 2024, but I would imagine that's going to be happening very soon, because last year, remember, we ordered a year's worth on May 29th, but Ford gave us the paperwork to order those vehicles about a week and a half before that. So they didn't give us a lot of time, and we expect that's probably going to be the same this year.
It is so great. So let's get a huge shout out and a thanks to Terry and the team, and to everybody that joined the live stream today and that are watching the replay. If you want to reach out to me, you're welcome to do that. Reach out to Embassy RV. That's a great place. And then really encourage you to join the Facebook group. It's just a really passionate team. And we'll see many of you in June, just a few weeks. I'm really excited about that. It's just the best time. It's just such a great time. So Terry, hang tight right where we are. And until we'll say goodbye to everybody else, have a great weekend and journey on. And we always like to say, peace be with you. There it is. Yeah. And have a good weekend, folks. We'll see you next time.